Our movie today begins with a flock of migrating birds. At that moment, we see a goose named Peng flying, looking very happy and excited. He heads toward his flock and starts distracting them, making them change their flying formation. The leader of the flock gets angry and tells Peng to stop distracting them. But Peng doesn't care and takes everyone with him, flying through the clouds. We notice that Peng is very skilled at flying, fast and talented. Meanwhile, in another place, we see a little duck named Chi, along with her brother Chow, who is trying to catch a bug. But Chi stops him and takes him back to the rest of the duck flock, reminding him they shouldn't stray far. Back to Peng, he goes to a goose named Jing Jing, and we find out that they like each other. They both fly up into the sky joyfully, and Peng lets himself fall freely while talking to Jing Jing. Suddenly, he realizes he's too close to the ground and tries to regain control, but ends up crashing into the ducklings, separating them from each other. He rolls across the water until he crashes into a turtle named Larry, who we learn is his friend. Soon after, Jing Jing arrives with her father, who is the leader of the goose flock. He scolds Peng and reminds him it's migration season, and they have to reach the southern valley before winter comes, or they'll all die from the cold. The leader gathers the flock and announces that they'll take off at sunset. He tells Peng that he'll be responsible for the young geese to prove he's worthy of being part of the flock. But Peng doesn't care. He's arrogant and selfish and goes back to Jing Jing, telling her he'll migrate alone. Jing Jing gets upset by Peng's selfishness and arrogance. He sees himself as the best bird in the flock, and she walks away. Meanwhile, Chi and Chow are left alone in the wild because Peng scattered the ducklings. They're scared to move because a wicked cat is waiting for them up in a tree. Back to Peng again, who's frustrated and throwing frogs into the water. Larry arrives and asks why he didn't migrate with the flock. Peng says he'll go alone and plans to leave in the morning. He accidentally throws Larry into a bell, which rings loudly. That night, the goose flock takes off into the sky toward the south, and we see Jing Jing sad because Peng isn't with them. Later, Chi and Chow are frightened and hiding. Suddenly, the evil cat attacks. Chi and Chow manage to escape into the tall grass, and just as the cat is about to catch them, Peng shows up and starts fighting the cat. Larry also joins in and knocks the cat into the water. But the cat grabs onto a tree branch, furious and vowing revenge on Peng. Suddenly, a giant fish jumps out of the water and smashes the cat back in. Chi and Chow are amazed at what Peng did and watch as he goes to sleep. The next morning, Peng is surprised to find Chi and Chow with him. Larry arrives and asks if they're his kids. Chow runs and hugs him, but Chi pulls him back. She apologizes to Peng, saying he's the reason they were separated from their duck flock, and asks him to take them with him to the southern valley. But Peng, still selfish, refuses and says it's not his problem. He flies off. Suddenly, Chow grabs onto Peng's tail, and in an attempt to shake him off, Peng crashes into the bell again, which falls and injures his wing. When he tries to fly, he crashes to the ground. His wing is broken. Two birds come and mock him for being arrogant. They leave him behind, and Peng starts to feel scared and helpless. He starts thinking how he'll now survive with predators around. Then, he gets a crazy idea. He'll take Chi and Chow with him to the valley. Not out of kindness, but to use them as bait to escape predators. He goes to find them and tells them he decided to help them reach the southern valley to reunite with their flock. Chow hugs him, but Chi remains suspicious. Peng explains that if they stay alone, they'll freeze or be eaten. Meanwhile, Larry is shocked when he sees a strange creature emerge from the water. It's the cat, alive and furious. He grabs Larry and demands to know where Peng is. Larry refuses at first, but the cat threatens to eat him, so Larry gives in and says Peng is heading south and that his wing is broken. The cat leaves and Larry rushes to warn Peng, but he's very slow. Back to Peng, who ties Chow with a rope so he doesn't get lost. Chi is still bothered by Peng's behavior and motives. Soon, the trio reaches a rice field and doesn't know how to cross. Peng gets another crazy idea. He puts Chi and Chow in a water canal, then jumps in behind them. They all slide through quickly. Peng seems to regret what he did, but Chi and Chow are having fun. Suddenly, the rope breaks and Chow is swept away. Peng is terrified, but they manage to reunite and continue their journey. At night, they walk through a storm. Chi and Chow are cold and exhausted, scared of the thunder and lightning. Luckily, Peng sees a barn and decides to take them there. Inside, they meet a rooster who tells them to leave. But then, his hen wife sees the cold ducklings and feels sorry for them, allowing him to stay for the night. Peng enters the barn and goes to sleep, asking Chi and Chow to sleep far away from him. Chow, scared, asks Peng to tell him a bedtime story. In the beginning, Peng was completely against the idea. But then the rooster steps in and makes him understand that if he doesn't do it, he'll be kicked out of the coop. Peng gets scared and starts telling them a story. He says that one day, there were two little ducklings called Chi and Chow. They were walking alone and wanted to cross to the other side of the river to catch up with the rest of their flock. But while they were in the middle of the water, they started hearing a terrifying sound, and the sound kept getting closer and closer. The ducklings got scared and decided to go back. At that time, the fog was really thick, and they didn't know where to go. And the scary sound kept getting louder and closer. Suddenly, the lake monster appeared and came close to attack them. Chow started crying, and even the rooster fainted because it was such a terrifying story for them. Everyone there blamed Peng for what happened. After that, Chi and Chow went to sleep next to the hen, and in the rice fields, we see the cat who is following Peng's tracks. Suddenly, lightning strikes him, but he doesn't die. The next morning, Peng wakes up and finds Chow with the chickens. Batsu sneaks out of the coop without anyone noticing. When he tries to leave, an annoying frog appears making sounds. Peng grabs the frog and throws it far away. Then he tries to fly, but he falls again. At that moment, Chi and Chow wake up and ask Peng what he's doing. Peng explains that he was training. Then the three of them say goodbye to the chickens and continue on their journey. After a while, Chow starts crying loudly because he's hungry. He bites Peng's leg violently with hunger. Peng gets tired, runs, and brings him a frog, but Chow refuses to eat it. Coincidentally, Peng sees a bug and tries to feed it to Chow, but he still refuses. Luckily, Chi finds a bunch of berries and eats them, and that calms Chow down. Then, they continue their journey. Meanwhile, back at the coop, the cat has cornered the chickens. He asks where Peng and the ducklings are. He threatens to smash their egg. When the rooster tries to stand up to him, he gets scared and falls. They figure out which path Peng and the ducklings took. Back to Peng, Chi, and Chow. They hide behind a rock. When they see a woman riding a bike, they run after her, jump into the basket, and knock her off. They take her bike and start riding. Unfortunately, the cat sees them and starts chasing them. At that time, Peng can't control the bike. He tries to stop it, but it crashes into a rock, flies off, and lands on a pig truck. Because the road is bumpy, Peng and the others fly up in the air. but he manages to grab Chi and Chow before they fall off the truck. He grabs onto the trailer rope and the pigs fall on the chasing cat. Then Peng, Chi, and Chow fall off the truck without getting hurt. They continue their journey and pass by many places. After a while, they get very tired and decide to rest. Peng goes into a tree trunk while Chi and Chow watch birds flying in the sky. Peng feels like he really wants to fly again. He tells Chi that flying is a beautiful and fun thing. He picks her up and starts spinning her in the air. She gets excited and feels like she's flying. Suddenly, Peng hits the tree and Chi falls and flies away. Peng runs after the tree to save Chow, but the tree crashes and throws Chow into the air. Chow ends up flying next to Chi. Then both of them fall into a pile of leaves. Peng makes sure they're safe and is very happy they're okay. The three of them laugh and play together. Suddenly, Peng and Chi realize Chow isn't next to them. We then go to the goose flock, who finally arrive at the valley in the south. Their leader is very happy they arrived safely. But Jing is worried because Peng hasn't shown up. Her father gets even more worried and says he's probably dead. Back to Peng and Chi. They're standing in front of a scary-looking cave, calling for Chow. Chow replies from inside, and although Peng is scared, Chi takes his hand and they both go in. They walk through the dark, scary cave until they reach a place lit with green light. Peng and Chi are amazed by the glow. Chow eats glowing bugs. They play with their shadows on the rocks, making shapes. Suddenly, the cat appears from behind. Peng grabs Chi and Chow and runs. He manages to drop some rocks to block the cat and keeps running. They find a way out and climb up a rock to reach it. The cat tries to reach him, but a bunch of rocks fall on him. Then the rock with Peng, Chi, and Chow rolls down the tunnel really fast until it falls into water. They are dragged by the current and fall off a huge waterfall. After a while, they come out of the water, tired, and realize they've reached the valley they were aiming for. Chi and Chow are so happy, and Peng feels proud of what he did. Suddenly, Peng hears the sound of the goose flock. When he goes to find them, he sees they've already flown off. He tries to call for him, but no one hears him. He gets really upset and tells Chi and Chow it's all their fault, that if they weren't with him, he would have made it in time. Chi realizes he was just using them and decides to take Chow and leave. Peng runs as fast as he can and keeps calling for the flock. He slips and is about to fall off a cliff. Suddenly, someone knocks him onto a ledge. We discover it's a small squirrel who feels sorry for Peng and decides to help heal his broken wing. He knocks Peng out. At night, Peng wakes up and sees the squirrel treating him with acupuncture and tying his wing with a stick to fix it. He realizes that now he'll be able to fly again tomorrow. Then we go to Chi and Chow, who are scared and sleep under a tree. The next morning, the squirrel ties Peng to a tree and tells him to spread his wings. He holds a rope to reassure him. When Peng lets go, he falls fast. The squirrel doesn't catch the rope in time, but Peng spreads his wings and finally manages to fly. Then he sees the squirrel flying right next to him. At that moment, Peng is very happy because he was able to fly again. But suddenly, he remembers Chi and Chow, so he changes direction to go back for them. We then move to Chi and Chow as they wake up, and they get very excited when they see a flock of ducks. They run to join them. Meanwhile, Peng is flying at full speed towards the city. At the same time, we see Chi, Chow, and the flock entering the same city. They are amazed by all the celebrations and fireworks. However, the leader of the flock leads them to a secluded place and locks the door behind them. Then, Chow starts arguing with Chi, saying they shouldn't have left Peng because he's a good person who took care of them. Suddenly, the chef appears and grabs them both. Luckily, Peng has already reached the city and sees the chef taking Chi and Chow into the restaurant. By accident, Peng hits a rope and falls to the ground, and unfortunately, the stick supporting his broken wing falls too. Despite that, Peng sneaks into the restaurant quietly and cautiously, without anyone noticing. He hides in a food cart and manages to get into the kitchen. He approaches the chef, who is about to harm Chi and Chow, but Peng intervenes, bites and attacks him, forcing him to let them go and run away. Peng then quickly takes Chi and Chow, and they're so happy he came back to save them, he tells them to hide quickly. Unfortunately, Chow finds a jar of hot chili nearby, starts eating it, and makes a loud noise. The chef hears it and sees Chow. As he approaches, Chow breathes fire from his mouth and burns the chef. Just then, a waiter comes and takes Peng out of the oven and walks away. Because the chef left the door open, the duck flock enters the restaurant, scaring all the customers, who run away. Peng seizes the opportunity and tells Chi and Chow to escape. He hops quickly from table to table until he hits the door and opens it for the flock, who rush into the street. Then, Peng jumps and lets the door hit the chef before running to look for Chi and Chow in the middle of the celebration. He walks behind the flock, but realizes Chi and Chow aren't with him. While searching, he hears their voices and heads toward the sound. There, he finds a cat holding them, trying to eat them. Just before the cat does anything, fireworks shoot a big spark that scares it. Peng takes the chance, hits the cat hard, grabs Chi and Chow, and they run to escape. But the cat catches up and jumps on Peng. They both fall onto the ice. The cat attacks Peng violently, but Peng manages to break the ice and they both fall into the water. Despite this, the cat tries to drown Peng, who fights back with a strong hit and escapes with Chi and Chow. As they try to run away, the cat follows and corners them in a dead end. It jumps on Peng and pins him to the ground. Just before it claws him, it realizes Chi and Chow have tied it to the fireworks. Chow lights the fuse, and the fireworks blast the cat into the sky. Chi and Chow hug Peng, who hugs them back, happy that they're safe. Peng takes them and leaves the city. Later, we see them walking through a snowstorm. Peng carries Chi and Chow so they don't get tired until all three fall off a cliff. Peng appears exhausted and unable to move. Chi and Chow refuse to leave him behind. They grab him and slide across the ice until they fall into the clouds. Chi and Chow manage to fly while carrying Peng, who is so happy. But after a while, they become too tired and almost fall. Chow starts making loud noises, hoping someone will help. At the last moment, Jing arrives, grabs Peng, and thanks Chi and Chow for saving him. She takes Peng to the southern valley and lands in front of the lake. Jing is very happy that Peng is still alive. A little later, the flock leader comes to check on Peng and then leaves. Peng thanks Jing for saving him and apologizes, admitting he was selfish and arrogant. Jing is touched by his words. Peng introduces her to Chi and Chow, explaining they're his kids and that he loves them very much. Finally, Pang marries Jing Jing, and they become a small, happy family. Pang, Jing Jing, Chi, and Chow live in a joyful life together. Pang has learned that he can't live with